Welcome back to HQ. So the Bucks did play the Clippers. The Bucks did beat the Clippers, but the praise all on back-to-back NBA MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. Not only did the Bucks star drop 36 points, 14 boards, 5 assists, 4 blocks, he single-handedly erased a 7-point deficit in the final 8 minutes, finishing it off with a glorious dunk in the final seconds. He is feeling good. The Bucks are feeling good, as they should. They extend their winning streak to 5 games. And with that, they jump 6 spots in our latest power rankings to 3rd overall. Still no movement at the top, with the Jazz holding off the Nets. The biggest riser this week, none other than the Knickerbockers. And by the way, the Heat are heating up. Let's welcome in our good friend behind the power rankings, Colin Ward-Henninger. All right, let's start with the Bucks, because this is the team we've been waiting to see all season. Giannis is cooking. But here's my question to you, Colin, because we've seen this team do well and then flop back-to-back postseason years. So does it matter? Are you seeing anything from them that makes you think, hey, this may be different this year?
Yeah, that's a great question, Amanda. And the Bucks are really in a lose-lose situation, right? If they're losing games, everyone's like, what's wrong with the Bucks? If they're winning games, they say, it doesn't matter. It's just the regular season. But there are some things about this team, this Bucks stretch here, that are positive signs for the playoffs. And number one is the way that they're playing defense. So the reason the Bucks have been struggling all year defensively is because they're trying new things. They got a lot of criticism over the last couple of postseasons about sticking with their plan of dropping their bigs and not switching enough. So they've been switching a lot more, and you saw that in the Clippers game where they were switching against Kawhi Leonard and Paul George late in the game, and they held the Clippers scoreless for 4 minutes. So I think that switching is starting to work. It takes a while. It's an adjustment period for the players. It's an adjustment period for Coach Mike Budenholzer. So to come up with a win like that over the Clippers and win it defensively the way that they did, I think that only gives them confidence moving forward with this switching style and gives them a different card to play in the playoffs. Offensively, their criticism in the playoffs has been Giannis Antetokounmpo can't really generate offense in the half court. Well, we saw him do that, obviously, against the Clippers. He's done it a lot this season. And on that last play you saw where he caught the ball at the 3-point line and somehow got to the rim and dunked without dribbling, just sort of a ridiculous feat. That was actually a play Chris Middleton said that Mike Budenholzer put in a couple of days ago. So that's a great sign that he's putting in new wrinkles, trying to adjust. And I think come playoff time, even if the Bucks don't have the regular season that they've had over the last couple seasons, they're going to be more dangerous because of the way that they're adjusting and putting in new things into both their offense and their defense.
Colin, speaking of the playoffs, here come the Heat finally as well. They jumped all the way to 8th in your power rankings. They're 5th in the East right now. So all of a sudden, this is looking like a better team. They're getting healthy. Are you getting a little more confidence in them as a potential contender there in the East?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say I never lost confidence in them, but when you're looking at their record, it's kind of scary. You say, well, will they be able to pull themselves out of this? And it looks like they finally are starting to. Now, the Heat have just been ravaged by injuries and by COVID protocols. So the 4 players, Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Goran Dragic, the Heat have played 34 games this year. At least one of those guys has missed 25 of them. So they just haven't had their team all year. They're finally starting to get healthy. I think Jimmy Butler is playing with tremendous offensive confidence. This is a guy who prides himself on defense and doing the little things. He's been scoring the ball. He's been shooting threes, which he just didn't do for the first 15 games of the season. Eric Spoelstra said that the reason this team's been playing well is because they finally just embraced their identity. I think they were getting a little bogged down in, hey, we're missing guys. They're kind of feeling sorry for themselves a little bit. They've gotten away from that, and they stick to Heat basketball and say, no matter who's on the court, we're going to be able to execute and do things our way. And if you look at a guy like Duncan Robinson, he's shooting 39% from the 3-point line this year. He shot about 45% last year. And if you think, let's get all of our guys back on the court, all of our playmakers, that's going to lead to a lot more open shots for Duncan Robinson, which is really what this Heat offense is designed to do, is the ball movement and the penetration creates open 3-point looks. So I think they've really positioned themselves well heading into the All-Star break. And I think the Heat are going to be ready for a big second half.
Colin, let's talk about your biggest risers and biggest faller. Starting with the biggest riser, and that is none other than the New York Knicks, up 8 spots to number 13 in your power rankings. Whenever the Knicks get hot, the hype around them is a little over the top. However, were the season to end today, they'd be hosting a playoff series. So where do you put them in the Eastern Conference hierarchy?
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks hype, look, it's overblown, absolutely. But look, they've been bad for so long. Let's just let them enjoy this. They have home court advantage as of right now. And they're playing very well. In terms of the East hierarchy, I mean, like, look at the teams below them. You've got the Celtics, you've got the Raptors, you've got the Heat, you've got the Indiana Pacers, who, if healthy, I would probably put them above the Knicks as well. So if we're really talking here, the Knicks are probably more in that 7-8 range than the 4-5 range. But look, they've been able to do something this season that is very difficult, and that is build an identity. And they've done it under Coach Tom Thibodeau in his first season. This is a defensive team. They're second in the league in defensive rating. You know, when you go into New York, it's gonna be a slugfest. They're gonna slow it down. They're gonna muck it up. And Julius Randle is playing at an all-star level, and he was named an all-star. So, offensively, they're going to struggle. And I think that's why they made that deal to get Derrick Rose. I think they saw the writing on the wall. If they were able to get to the playoffs, they needed another playmaker, a shot creator. And, since Elfrid Payton's been injured, Derrick Rose has stepped into the starting lineup, averaging 16 points and 7 assists a game as a starter. So that's something they might want to think about, as the playoffs approach, is getting Derrick Rose into that starting lineup. But look, we're talking about the Knicks and the playoffs. At this point in the season, I think that's a really good sign for them, and they should be happy no matter where they end up in the standings.
And we'll see how we feel after the break there. All right, so they're your biggest risers, your biggest follower, the Magic. Things are not looking good for them. It is getting very ugly. In fact, they're down 8 spots to 28. So do you just embrace that? Do you embrace the tank? And do you say finally goodbye to your best player?
Yeah, I think, it's been really bad for the Magic. Their offense has over the last few seasons been really difficult. And with all the injuries and the COVID protocols and everything, with the Magic, they've truly struggled. Now, this is a team that I think, most of the basketball kind of media world has been wondering, when are they going to make their move? They have all these players who other teams probably want on team-friendly deals. I don't know if Nikola Vucevic is the guy who they want to trade, just because the market for centers right now isn't great. But if you look at Evan Fournier, a guy in the final year of his contract, Terrence Ross, a guy who can get hot off the bench, Aaron Gordon, a versatile forward, I think a lot of teams would be interested in. These are all guys who we've been wondering, hey, when are the Magic finally going to make these deals and stop worrying about getting into the 8th seed every year and getting smashed in the first round of the playoffs? So now might be that time. They have good young players. They have Jonathan Isaac, who's coming back off an injury next year. Markelle Fultz. Let's just see what they can do. Chuma Okeke is a promising rookie who can shoot the 3, a versatile forward. So I would absolutely head in that direction and see if you can sell off your parts, get a good draft pick this year and kind of rebuild. But, I don't own teams and I don't know what the pressures are on the front office in terms of expectations. So to me, I think they have the young core and they have the pieces to trade for picks or young players that they can go through a rebuild, but that's a tough decision for any organization to make.
Colin Ward-Henninger, by the way, you guys can check out his full list of power rankings and all of the decisions that go in behind it on the website, cbssports.com. Make sure to look under the NBA section there. Notable games tonight, there are quite a few. 76ers, 4.5-point favorite over the Pacers. Nuggets, a 5-point favorite over the Bulls. Hornets at Trailblazers. That one is the late one, kicking off at 10:30 Eastern. One sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game, the highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.